And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Alright, so today I'm going to show you 4 ways in which you can read from 5 ways in which you can read from a file. You can choose whichever method you prefer most, and you can, apply it. Alright, so let's get ready. So it's also going to get a little bit more complicated and advanced as we continue. The first method will basically be the general way, and as you continue you'll get a few more features, make it maybe a little bit easier and in some cases a little bit more difficult, but yeah. So here is method 1. So let's say we have a file. Let's create a file that we should read, and we can go here, we can say new empty file, readme.txt, or you can give it any extension you want. It doesn't really matter in Python. Anyways, then we can just drag and drop it into Sublime Text. Hello, my name is Steve. Please sub and like. I will continue now. Okay, so that's what's inside of it. If you read it, we'll see that. Alright, so here we can go to and we can create a file. I usually like to give my files an extension beforehand. This is completely optional. I just like to do it, T file for text file. So T file, something like that, or even T file. These days I like to go with underscores when it comes to Python. But anyways, so T file, and you can just say open. And then you have the readme. Is it readme? I just closed it. Yeah, readme.txt. Readme.txt. Now take note, if it is not in the same folder as this Python file, you'll have to add a path, which would look something like this. Yeah, something like that. It might look different in Windows. I'm not sure if it depends in Python, where it might have to do like that. I have no idea, but that's why I'm sticking to just this file. We don't have to go more complicated than that. If you want to, you can actually learn that yourself. It can be your homework. Anyways, so you give the file name and then you say what you want to do. So here you can see quite a lot of things. There is R, which means read. There is W, which means write. There is A, which means append. There is what's there more? There is R plus, which means read and write. Then there is WB, which means binary write. And then there is RB, which means binary read. So yeah, that's I think all of it. I think there's actually a few more, but these are probably the ones you'll use most. In this case, we're just going to use read, but we'll get to write in a later video. This is where we can write to a file. Append is just adding stuff to the end of the file, so it's the same as writing, but it's just adding. So if I were to open up this file again, if I were to remove all of this and say hello, I just wrote to the file. But if I were to keep all of this and go to the next line and say, here, I append it to the file. But we'll get to that in a future video. We don't have to focus on that right now. This is just read and write, so if you will read a file and then write to it. And this is just binary write and binary read. We won't be getting into this at all in the future. Probably, we might actually do, but I don't think we are. But anyways, we can just say R, because we just want to read. And then we can just say print T file .read, and this will just read the entire file, and then we have to say T file.close. So these are the basic steps. First, you'll open the file, you'll read the file, and then you'll close the file. You have to close the file because this will free up not only memory, but it will also save the file if you made any changes, and also protect the file, or also close the file so that our applications can also read that file. But yeah, usually if you don't close it, there's no problem, but it is highly recommended that you do. But anyways, then we can just go here to terminal, clear because of the last one, and there is go. Hello, my name is Steve, please sub and like, I will continue now. So yeah, that's the basics of method 1. Very, very simple. Oh gosh. Now we can go on to method 2. So we can delete all of this and say method 2. And here we can just say also, I'm going to go tfile because I don't know, I just like it more like that. Usually I go something like a game file or something like that, just something with file in it. But you know, in this case I'll just go tfile, go camel case. And we can yet again use open and my file, readme.txt, and put it in read mode. And then one thing that is always good to do is check if a file is not only readable, but if it is open as well. We'll get to that in a second. So we can go if not, and we can go tfile.readable, and we just do that. And in here we can say print, the file cannot be read. And we can like exit the program. Now I'm going to continue in a second with reading the file, but this right here is actually seen as good practice. Basically, if something else has the file open, or the file does not have permissions to be read, then this will be triggered. So if the file cannot be read, and it will exit, and then it will tell you the file cannot be read, and it will exit the program. So it will exit the entire Python script. So yeah, that's basically what this does. So it just checks if you can actually read it, because if some applications might be reading it, it might have closed it off, so other applications cannot read it. That's why you have to close the file after you've used it. But anyways, so then we can go for line in tfile. Just this is optional. You don't have to do this. The actual reading from a file is beginning here, but you can delete this if you want. But this is really recommended, even if you use the other method, just to make sure you can read the file. Anyways, and then we can say print line. And then we can just go tfile.close. Now, this may look like a few extra unnecessary lines compared to the previous method, which was literally just read line or read. But the difference here is it gives you lines. So if we go here and we run it, hello, my name is Steve. Please, you know, it'll give you that. But yeah, so that is method 2. If you like to be able to modify line by line, because the first method, that will just take the entire file as a blob and just throw it onto the screen. This one will give you options to look at each and every line. So yeah, this is useful for when you want to do that. Now let's go to method 3. So whoops and 3. So yet again, let's go tfile equals open, and we can say readme.txt in read mode. Okay, and then here we can go slines is equal to tfile.readlines, and we can print slines. Why do I say slines? We can just say lines, and we can say lines, and in tfile.close. Now the previous method, you treat it as an array or as a list through the use of a for loop. Now with this, it will actually take the lines, read them one by one, and put them inside of a list for you. So this is actually a legit list. If we print this, it says hello, and then once it gets to a new line, it puts a comma right there, and it says my name is Steve. And as you can see, it's a list, and if we for through the list, we can actually do a few nice things. So we can go, oh gosh, for x in lines, or even if you want to go for line in lines, print line. And if we were to run this, it will print each and every line, just like in the previous one, as you can see right there. So yeah, that's basically what's happening here. So yeah, that's a nice way to go about your day, don't you think? So that was method 3. Now let's go to method 4. We'll maybe leave this right here because that's kind of getting annoying to type, and this one as well because we need them both anyways. Then method 4 is basically just a little bit more annoying to use, but it is also a little bit slower to use if you want to work slowly. So you can just go print and tfile dot read line. Now let's see what happens. We get one line. What's the difference between the read line and read lines? Read lines returns an array or a list, while read line returns a line. So each time you say read line, it's going to read one line. Okay, you go one more, and then boom. So you can literally read line by line by line and modify it if you don't want to go through the entire thing of a for loop, or you just want to read like the first 3 lines and the for loop is too much effort, or something like that. This is for the ones that like to work slowly. But anyway, so yeah, that's how you do one. So it's read line, read lines. Just the difference may be very minor, but or the difference in how you say it may be very minor, but they do completely different things on the end of the day. So read line, read lines. Don't get mixed up between the two. Method 5, which is probably the least amount of effort you'll have to put into reading from a file. We can remove all of this, and we can say method 5. So with, and we can say open my readme.txt in read mode. Then we can say as tfile. Then we can go print tfile dot read line. And then if we run that, as you can see, you get your entire array. Basically, we're doing everything here, but we're saying while it's open. So if it is open, continue with it. That basically this with just, yeah, it's just while it's open in read mode. And what will happen if we remove that is and make it read line? It's just going to return one line, because this actually only just works for one line, but it auto closes, which is the nice thing here. So if you don't want to use close and you don't want to make a bunch of unnecessary variables, then boom, here's your method. It's very, very lightweight. And boom, it's one way in, one way out. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and yeah, that's